We're talking about a curious topic today, which is reinventing yourself. Now, let's really get to the roots of this because if you're reinventing yourself, that means you're not satisfied with who you have been. Huh? So, the number one thing, if you're looking at reinvention of the self, is first taking out time to make an inventory of who you have been. And let's be real here. Generally, when you're reinventing yourself, you're not reinventing yourself because you don't like you. You're reinventing yourself because the world hasn't given you good feedback on who you are or who you believe yourself to be, if we're being all the way honest, right? No one reinvents themselves because they're like, yeah, everyone on the world likes me. They're giving me the respect I feel I deserve, but I don't like me. Nah, this is something that's usually externally driven, and that's okay. It gets like that. These things happen. Step one in reinvention, make a list of those feelings, those responses that you're getting that are letting you know you're out of sync with either who you want to be or who you expected to be or who others expected you to be. Make that list. Once you've made that list, the next thing you want to look at is first that category of who others expected you to be. You know, you might be getting negative feedback because other people are disappointed in you. Could be your parents, could be your immediate family, people who have expectations of you. But here's the thing, if their expectations of you are different than your expectations of you, guess what you can do with that list of things that they've identified? Oh, you can cross that off. You cross that straight out because you're not living your life for them. You're living your life for you. You'll never be happy achieving someone else's goal that they had for you. That's first and foremost. That's the foundation. Then the second piece, right? We've already identified who you have been. Now we want to look at who you want to be. When we're talking about reinvention, we're talking about getting on track with being a certain person. And in some ways, with the art of reinvention, you can be that person you want to be in the future. You can start today. Reinvention requires radical change. The entire concept of reinventing the self is quite a radical thing if we're being real here. I mean, really consider it. Reinvent. To invent is to create something new. To reinvent is to go through the creative process again to create something new. So that's something radically different. If you're reinventing yourself, this should go as deep as considering the way that you speak, the way you dress, the job you have, the place that you live, the associations that you keep, who your friends are. So these are all things that should have radical change because at the end of the day, you might hear the mantra of fake it till you make it. Well, I'd rather just make it. I'd rather make it real. The problem with fake it till you make it in the process of reinvention is that there are two collectives that you have to convince when you're reinventing. You have to convince the external world that you're someone new. You must also convince the internal world, meaning yourself. Do you want to look in the mirror and think, boy, I'm a real phony. I'm a real faker. I'm not a serious person. And then everyone else thinks, yeah, hey, good job. But on the inside, you feel small, weak, and inadequate. That's not what you really want. So to reinvent yourself requires significant change. To reinvent yourself means that you're going a lot harder than you have in the past because you failed in the past. Was there something you need to address?
Rudy T sent a super chat. He said, Marquettism to start the day. We already winning.
Hey, absolutely. You did get this ism. Nourishing. It's like an intellectual breakfast. You heard me? Food for thought. The challenge with doing the half-baked performance of fake it till you make it is that when you're faking it, you will eventually be uncovered. If I've been faking it, telling people that, you know, I run distances or that I'm a runner or that I jump rope or I do X, Y, and Z, and then, you know, I see someone out at the gym or Someone who follows my work shows up in Vegas and we hang out and they say, hey, let's hop on the pull-up bar, let's hit a run. And I can't do it. Do you know what that looks like? And what's worse, do you know what that feels like on the inside, the level of panic and shame you're going to have when you know you're coming upon a situation which you cannot perform? One of the most beautiful sights I've seen with the Saints is I was out returning from a dinner. It was myself, Jabrizi Magic, his family, some of my folks, and a group of kids said, hey, you're the magician, do some magic. And right then and there, he just went into full magician mode and did 20 minutes worth of free tricks. He was always ready. He really is who he says he is. That's a hugely important thing, is focusing on that. Let me encourage you guys that if you're going to go ahead and reinvent yourself, identify the archetype of who you want to be. And by archetype, I mean, who is that character, so to speak? So maybe the character is James Bond. Maybe it's Will Smith. Maybe it's whoever you admire. And you want to start to study this person, their style of dress, their manner of speech, their tonation. Do they smile when they talk? Do they like to joke? Study them, and you're going to start emulating that, because that's what you want to reinvent yourself as. Anything you want must have a model that you can adopt. And I want you to know you are in an era where reinvention is very much so within your grasp. People will let you be whatever weird thing you want to be. Just imagine. Bruce Jenner turned into Caitlyn Jenner, turned from a grown man to a woman, and you can't reinvent yourself? I mean, that would be ludicrous, right? Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Clay. Then he became Muhammad Ali. Now, here's the thing. Some people, even after he became the great Muhammad Ali, they said, well, if his mama called him Cassius, I'm calling him Cassius. They wouldn't accept the change. We're going to talk about that.
Fishing 2020 sent a super chat. He said, did Islam help you reinvent yourself?
Thank you for the question, Fishing 2020. I'm going to address that right after I finish this point. So there will always be people who will not accept your change. One of the major parts of your reinvention is surrounding yourself by a new group of people, or a group of people who have it within them to see the new you. If you maintain your existing relationships, the stagnation there will not benefit you, and those people will look at you in the same low way they have always looked at you, which may be a reflection of them, but also could be a reflection of who you've been in the past. It's hard for people to accept a new example from someone that they have known a long time. Now, the question from Fishing 2020?
Fishing 2020.
Fishing 2020. No, Islam did not have me reinvent myself. In fact, Islam was easy for me to move into, in as much as it already was aligned with my fitra. In Arabic, they use the term fitra, which is to say your natural sense of right and wrong. So before Islam, I didn't drink, I didn't use drugs. You know, I was doing all of these things, abiding by all of the rules of Islam without being a Muslim. So it was just good alignment. I continued with my life with more spirituality, more prayer, but I didn't have to do any radical change. And if we're being real here, you know, I've always pretty much been the same person. I'm talking about reinvention because there's so many folks who talk to me about, well, how do I find a new me? Myself, having lived in many cities and also having mentored people up from their youth. In fact, just 2 days ago, a sixth grader who I was her teacher just reached out to me. So I've had the fortune of helping people develop. So that's why I want to talk about reinvention. But to be straightforward with you, I've never had to reinvent. I believe that if you talk to anyone who's ever known me, they will say Marquette was pretty much the same guy always. When I tell you the creed of the assassin, the last sentence is show the greatest part of who you are. So even with reinvention, all you're really doing is taking greatness that is already within you and you're bringing it to the surface. I've always had a strong urge to bring that to the surface because having been born in poverty, but having been raised with high self-esteem, I knew there was a gap between the value I felt inside and the external manifestations of value. There was no wealth, but I felt wealth inside. So I always worked really hard with great faith to make those two things match up. And some of you have that same drive, and that's why I'm trying to help you go through this process, which you might call reinvention, to make sure that the outside matches up with your internal gifts.
Kevin White, formerly known as Swiffer Wetjet,
Swiffer.
said, "You are what you revisit daily. You study long enough, it will manifest into the way you carry yourself and your actions."
He's right. And when he talks about daily, that's the most important piece, is no days off. I have an exclusive video on patreon.com/the saint in the center, or www.thesasn.com. It's called No Days Off. No, your rest day is a slow day. You don't take any time not being you. If you're a man who exercises, that should show up every single day. He's totally right. They say practice makes perfect. That's not true. If you're practicing the wrong way, practice will make you bad at something. You'll be consistently bad at fill in the blank if you're practicing the wrong way. Your goal number one is to perfect your practice, which is, if it's to be an avid reader, if it's to be a person who exercises, or one who prays, or one who meditates, whatever it is you do that makes you you, or makes you who you want to be, get good at that, and then practice that regularly. And as Swiffer says, undoubtedly, or I should say Kevin, undoubtedly that will manifest in fruits in your life. I want to do more writing in my head, which might sound strange, but in my meditation, I like to sit in my meditation and then write out my to-do list mentally. I like to sit in my meditation and write out my lectures mentally. And so that's where I'm trying to move to, and actually move out of writing things down. But also, one thing I do is that anytime I get like a piece of paper, mailing, bulk mail, anything like that, I'm always writing on it, using that as scratch paper. So I wouldn't actually produce a notebook as of now, because it just doesn't feel right. I'm a minimalist. I'm always trying to throw things away. So when I get an extra scrap of paper or an advertisement, I'll turn it over on the backside and use that.
KCJ2K, he sent a super chat. He said, "I want to start writing. How long do you dedicate on writing? And is it the same thing as journaling, where you don't think, you just write without filter?"
I think it's two different pursuits. Journaling generally is a recording of what has happened. When I'm writing, I'm usually using the imagination. So journaling, I think, is reflective. You're looking at what has happened, whereas I'm using imagination, and it's perspective on what will happen in the future, what I need to happen, me visualizing outcome and visualizing process and steps and writing that down. So I think those are two different things. I'd start off with 10 minutes and grow it up or down based on what makes sense for you. What you learn as you mature is that the world always gives you these models that are generally useful, but the model doesn't take you as an individual into account, which is to say, I remember when I was a young man, they'd say, okay, stretch for 30 seconds. And then as I matured as an athlete, I realized you stretch for however long it takes for your muscles to get loose, right? You're stretching your body. So you come to know your body and you do what's best for you. Same thing with writing. I'd start with 10 minutes and then scale it up or scale it down. Sometimes you'll have a lot on your mind. Sometimes life is going swimmingly and you don't feel the need to write, but you just want to get into 10 minutes to maintain your practice.
Okay, we have Castro sent a super chat. He said, "Off topic, use Marquettism to game up my girl to work. She is now a personal assistant, aka serving another man. What should I expect moving forward in this relationship? She is 19, I'm 20. Peace, Saint."
So he said he did game her up?
He gamed her up to work. She's now a personal assistant, aka serving another man. I don't know if that means that's her real job or if she's some other man's girl now. I don't know.
Got it. Okay. So yes, saying if you're speaking in straightforward language and you're saying that she did get a job as a personal assistant, no, that's fine, especially if she's coming home and breaking bread with you. Over time, what you want to be able to do, if this is your main woman, is you want to be able to make sure that she's largely working for you, and that you are masterminding businesses wherein that's bringing in the chief income. It's always best when your main woman is only serving a single master, which is you. You don't really want to split her attention or split her dedication. So that's ideal. But obviously, there are levels to progression. And you being a young man of age 20, I understand the situation, but certainly it's good to keep her working.
Okay, we have Johnny G sent a super chat. He said, how do I be motivated from positive thoughts? Is it healthy to seek negativity? Because I find that it's the biggest log to fuel my fire. Peace, big homie.
Whatever motivates you. I know many people who are sincerely fueled by hate. When people hate on them, boy, that just sends them into a fury of productivity, a fury of being disciplined, a fury of pursuing their goals as they find that success is the best revenge. So whatever you find is going to drive you, use it. We cannot pretend as though we're all the same and we are fueled by the same fire. That's not the case. If we were all the same, this world would have a tremendous amount of equality. But this is a hierarchical world. And if you want to move up that hierarchy, you must understand the self and know what fuels you. And hey, if that'll get the job done, then let it be so.
Do you have anything to address from Cash App? Okay. Win and Wade sent a super chat. He said, is proving something to yourself the same thing as reinventing? I'm expressing this through my project. Just want some quick knowledge from you.
Good question. When you reinvent yourself, you certainly must prove something to yourself. You cannot lie to the self because the self, you're always there, right? You know everything about you. You can't lie to yourself and say that you're super player when you have been around yourself all your life. You're like, I haven't talked to any women in the last year. How am I super player? How am I on Instagram showing all these exotic cars when I don't own any of them? And I'm just renting them. Or I don't even rent them. I just walk up and stand next to it on the strip in Miami. You are not going to believe in yourself. You are going to think that you are a liar. And there's an energy that comes with being phony. And real people can pick up on that. You dig? So absolutely, if you reinvent yourself, certainly that is a process of convincing yourself that the new you is a real you, and that all roots from deeds and actions. If you fake it till you make it, surely you'll be exposed at some point. For example, I roasted one guy and it was devastating to him. Then I saw the same guy try to roast me, and when I watched his roast, I had to chuckle because the things he was trying to roast were accomplishments. The guy was like, oh, you went to China and you gave a speech about your business, but nobody cared. It didn't get any views. And I'm looking like, you're speaking of accomplishments trying to roast me. Like, it's an amazing thing that any businessman could go and do business in China, which purports to be a communist country. There are very few Americans that get the honor, especially when you're lecturing high-level government officials. But that's all he had to roast, because what's real for me is very impressive. I say that to say, I've already convinced myself of who I am. That's the first person you have to convince. And once you can convince yourself, bro, you're going to sit up straight, you hear me? You're going to feel proud and strong. And people can see that in you. Sometimes when women would ask me like, hey, what do you do for a living? And I would say something like, oh, I'm a janitor, or I work at, fill in the blank. I would say something very basic, and they're like, nah, I don't believe it. Because they can see it shining through self-belief. So absolutely, you are the number one person you must persuade.
Okay, Jerry Paydier sent a super chat. He said, first super chat, peace to the saints.
Wow. Shout out to Jerry. Truly appreciate it. It's good to connect with you, Sam.
Okay, the fasting chef sent a super chat. He said, peace to the saints. The black box was delivered yesterday. Looking forward to digging in soon. Life is beautiful.
Life is beautiful. And I'm glad he shared that, because people are stressing so much over such small things. They have to learn how to stay focused on the big picture and really enjoy life. Life is to be enjoyed, especially in acknowledgement of the fact that you're young, strong, and healthy. So many people message me and they say, hey, Marquette, I want to start doing boxing, or I want to do MMA. Is it too late? I'm 25. Is it too late? I'm 40. Is it too late? Come on, bruh. It's too late if you say it's too late. It's too late if you acting like a bitch. But if you really want to go get after it, well, it's never too late. If somebody hit me up and said, Marquette, I'm 65 Is it too late? I say, hell nah, if you're ready to get it in. Life is filled with choices. Why are you making the choices that hold you back? I would much rather die in the ring on accident trying to be great than be outside of the ring watching other people be great. Do you want to be a spectator of life or do you want to be a participant in life? So many people are spectators. They use all their time watching Netflix. And when you have conversation with them, you can see the emptiness of their life because all they can talk about is what other people do, celebrity gossip, or they can talk about their favorite television show rather than living a life that is like a movie. I'd much rather be in the latter category.
Okay, we have Jerry. He came in with another super chat. He said, "We know that you finish how you start. What if you started talking about marriage and then got introduced the ism, but your girl is now pregnant?"
Ooh, Lord. Bruh, that timing is rough, my guy. My heart goes out to you. Well, if you were on a path for marriage and that's what you wanted to do and you got her pregnant intentionally, which rarely happens, it's usually an accident, call Geico. But if you got her pregnant on purpose and you intended to marry her, then you let her know, hey, let us carry on, but this marriage will be of my word. We will update your name. We will make sure that you have all of the perks you would want in marriage, yet I will not be signing up for a legal contract of marriage in the United States or wherever you may be.
He's not in the US.
Okay,
He also sent another super chat. So this is
okay.
third one. He said, "And she and her mama pressuring for marriage."
Don't you ever let anyone else decide your life, especially not a woman. They're not the leader. You're the leader. You'd be a fool to let them decide your life. They can pressure all they want. Just give them the thumbs up and don't take any action on what they say. Um, Trust me, you would end up living someone else's life. You will end up broken doing something you're not comfortable with. On a regular basis, there are consultations in which gentlemen tell me, hey, Marquette, I'm in a marriage. How do I get out? Or, hey, Marquette, I got to get divorced. How do I protect my money? Don't get into a situation that most guys are working to get out of.
Okay, Castro sent another super chat. He said, "Got it, Saint. I used that Marquettism on her, worked like magic. She also got her first tattoo as a representation of our relationship and growth."
Ta-da! Beautiful thing, Shane. Good to hear it. Thanks for sharing with the Assassin.
Okay, Wyndon Wade sent another super chat. He said, "Thanks very much to responding to my question. You are definitely wise beyond your years, pushing hard for success, blessed."
I truly appreciate that. And carry on and always report back that success. We love to hear it. When you're in a real community and you share good things, people can be proud of you. And in a real community, even the younger people can be proud of the older people. To be proud of someone just means that you have pride in their accomplishments. You take their win as your win, and we really do. So let us know as you achieve.
Okay, Pro Touch sent a super chat. He said, "I had haters when I thought I was a nobody. Now a lot of my friends wear masks. Any advice on weeding out frenemies?"
You know what? For the most part, they weed themselves out, which is quite nice. The only question is once they show their hand, are you going to take appropriate action? You see, I have friends who have, or, no, friends who have shown their hand, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a conversation or confront them like, hey man, why are you hating on me? Why are you discouraging me? Why are you doing X, Y, and Z? That's their nature, right? That's just who they are. We all make mistakes, but if you observe a couple different pieces of evidence, that's who they are. There's no discussion that will heal them because they want your position, or they're wondering how it is you two grew up together in the same situation and you've outperformed them, or they're wondering why is it that you both put out a product that was similar and your product went up and theirs went down. Essentially, this usually roots from jealousy. All you have to do is put the person on limited association or no association, and you can be polite about doing it. You always want to take a gentleman's hand to everything that you do. Keep your iron fist within a velvet glove in as much as you are able to. Because to turn a frenemy into an outright enemy would be more of a disservice to you. So if you're conscious and you have a frenemy and you keep them in that category where even they are confused about their true intentions, it'll be to your benefit. Whereas if you confront them and they turn into a hostile enemy, then you've just added to your group of detractors, which is not what you want to do. When you are a beacon of light to people, whether it's a woman you encounter or youth or even elderly folk, when you come in with positivity and optimism and goodness and charm and grace, people want to be around you. They will attract to you because you have something that is very rare. And when they're around you, they will feel greater because you lift them up with your high spirits. So you should always be someone that is like a cool wind. And when you leave, people are back in the sweltering heat of an unpleasant society. And for that, they will always seek your presence. So myself, I have a physical copy of the Black Box right here. And, I move around with this. I read it all the time. I reference it all the time, especially when my eyes get tired of being at a computer screen. But I also have a digital copy. It's easier when I'm cutting and pasting quotations and sending it to people or, things like that. And I like that digital copy because wherever I am, I can just pull it up and reference it. I don't always have this whole book with me. So I like both personally, if it's a good read. And I advise you not to waste your time with books that are not a good read. I don't read for pleasure. I read for gain. You heard me? I don't work for fun. I work for money. So I do the same thing with reading. I read for gain. And I reread this because, as we say, practice is important. The lessons in here, I wrote them down, but that does not mean I'm a master of executing them on a regular basis. And so sometimes when I reread it, I say, oh, yeah, that's right. That is the best practice. That is the ideal way. And as a human being, we tend to sometimes fall to inconsistency. So being on the right track takes a reminder.
You've also never had a book where you have not had notes written all over it,
Right.
which you can't do on digital.
You can take notes on digital.
Oh, okay.
It's a little different process, but yeah, you can add comments to it.
Yeah. Okay. Jojo Agogo sent a super chat. He said, how do I get over the issues with dealing with a narcissistic and controlling parent who's put me down my whole life? All of my choices were not good unless it's what he said to do specifically.
Well, I don't know what age you are right now, Joseph, but you got to realize once you're out, you're out. So if you're 25, still living at your father's house, well, it's going to be a little bit hard to get past that. But if you're 25 living in your own home, hey, you're out. You're on your own now, bruh. You get to make your own law. But if you're still appealing to your father's wallet, it'll be difficult. As they say, he who holds the gold makes the laws. So make sure you're not appealing to your father's gold. So my advice to you would be to get free if you aren't already. And once you are free, behave as a free man. Release the focus on your father. That's in the past. And also remember that so many people today especially use these insults or pejoratives of narcissist and toxic and all these things, which are externally focused. It puts blame on others, but then we never look in the mirror and blame ourselves for anything. Yes, narcissists are terrible, but if you were a victim of a narcissist, then there's something in yourself you have to change. If you were a victim of someone who is toxic, there's also something in yourself you have to change. So in short, I say make sure that you're not under this person's roof, make sure that you're earning your own money, and number two, make sure that you're keeping an eye on the future and living in the way that you choose. And if you find this person truly be unpleasant, toxic, or narcissistic, put them on limited association and don't take what they say seriously. Be cordial and carry on with your life.
Okay, we have Victor Andrew sent a super chat. He said, hey, Saint, feeling low as fuck. A girl who seemed to be good but was really sexually promiscuous left me to pursue dating women. How do I get out of this rut?
God damn it. That was a twist right there. That was a plot twist. Plot twist. Left you for a bitch. Oh, that's crazy, man. It get like that in 2021, boy. Woo-wee. Look, I even made a video exclusive on patreon.com. It was called Why I Don't Date Bisexual Women. You may have seen it. Maybe you didn't. That's how this happened. Who knows? But I can tell you, number one, if you knew she was bisexual while you were dating her, you should have had a timer in your head saying, this chick is going to do something weird, unexpected, and immoral. There's a timer. Why? Women who identify themselves as bisexual or homosexual, human beings in general, there's usually something beneath those waters that's really concerning in those murky waters. And there's only a matter of time before it comes out to the surface. Freud is one pioneer in the human mind who points out that sexual deviance is an expression of some underlying things having traumatized or gone wrong in the human being. And certainly you've been dating an individual that suffered from that. At the end of the day, you should be thankful, because do you want to marry a lesbian? Do you want to marry a woman who likes women if you're not a woman? Bruh, you might as well send her a thank you card with a Jamba Juice gift certificate so she can get her some fruit drinks, because it seems like she's a little bit fruity, you dig? So be thankful for that, Saint. I have a video on patreon.com/the Saint and the Sinner, as well as www.thesasn.com that you need to check out. It's called How to Get Over a Breakup. And you have clearly gone through a breakup. So that's what I recommend to you. But also you should be thankful, because at the end of the day, when she gets out of the way, she's opening up a position for a real woman to step into. Huh? Go ahead and get that real woman.
Okay, I'll let you read your Cash App that just came through.
Yes. Hinan Cooper is back in the building. He writes, just joined the Assassin. Everybody, peace to the saints. Appreciate the work. Hey, welcome Hinan Cooper warmly. He has just joined this thing of ours. You dig? Show him love.
Okay, we have Pro Touch. He sent another super chat. He said, thank you for the wisdom. I will keep applying this knowledge. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Emilio, the Armored One, sent a super chat. He said, saints will not be thinkers, but doers.
Absolutely. If you have to go too hard on one side, always go too hard on the side of the action. You should be Rambo. It's all about the action. We can sit and think, but thinking doesn't change the world, nor does it change your life.
We have Jerry back again. It was his first day super chatting, and this is number 4.
Wow.
He said, I've been trying to super chat for months. It's not working on my iPhone due to location, but I just discovered it works on my iPad.
Wow. Well, Jerry, thank you. And, shout out to finding a new way. That's what life is about, rerouting. And if you consider
reinventing,
rerouting, reinventing, all that, right? That's right. Getting the job done is what it's called.
Okay, we have Drew Thomas. He sent tuition.
Thank you.
Lucas Longhurst sent a super chat. He said, starting the black box today. Keep shining. Your wisdom and wit is refreshing. The podcast on the Prince was A1.
Yes, that is a masterwork, bruh. And if you have not checked that out, check that out. So a lot of people are into Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power and all this stuff. But if you're a real intellectual and you're actually really well read, you realize Robert Greene has never shared an original idea in his whole life. All he's done is rewritten books by real masters like Sun Tzu or Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince. So what he did was he modernized The Prince. The Prince is the true masterwork. And unlike Niccolo Machiavelli, who actually met and interacted with a lot of powerful men, truly powerful men, Robert Greene is writing from like 8 steps removed. And if you know anything about Robert Greene in his personal life, I wouldn't want to follow him or learn from him, me personally. So I did a work on The Prince. I think it's like a 6-part series. And bruh, there's so much game in there, it's not even funny. Whew. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Okay, we have Kyle Chaplin. He sent tuition.
Truly appreciate it, Kyle.
Who do you think this one is? It's your...
The Swooviest!
There we go.
Look. Some game.
He is, always.
Talk
He
to
said,
me.
salute to the assassin, King Q, saints. Being spiritually, mentally, and physically in sync is the epitome of reinvention and never waste money. A great man once said, a man that buys what he does not need steals from himself.
Oh, I like that. A man who buys what he does not need steals from himself. Wisdom. And that's funny that he mentions that, because I certainly try to live a minimalist life. And the more physical things you accumulate, He's right. You almost enslave yourself to this material. You become the property of your property. And it has also been said that outer show is a poor substitute for inner wealth. What you'll notice is that as the mind deteriorates, you look at old people, they become hoarders or pack rats, meaning they have a bunch of stuff. It's a clear indication the mind is in decline. So shout out to the Swoovius because he's dropping some serious knowledge on you.
Okay, we have some more super chats, but someone did ask where they can find your podcast or whatever it is on the Prince.
This the 6-part series, and I want to say it's a 7-part series, and it even has written notes as well. That is exclusive on patreon.com/the saint and the sinner or www.thesasn.com. So you can find it in those 2 places.
Okay, Nicholas Early sent a super chat. He said, how to act with productivity when moving forward into the unknown realms which are not known. Stuff you don't know, you don't know. Clear goals, maybe? Question mark.
When you're moving into terra incognita, an unknown land or an unknown experience, the wisest thing you can do is to get advice and counsel from someone who's been there before, of which there are many people. Unless you are about to fly to Jupiter, there's pretty much someone who's always been there before. You would be wise to get some advice from that person. That's number 1. Number 2, the human mind must always be focused on a goal. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of writing down your goal before you go to bed. And once you're pursuing that goal, use this. You have to have this duality of pursuing your goal with ferocity while also being relaxed, calm, and enjoying it at the same time. If you can bring those 2 things together, you will have joy and peace as you are fervent in pursuing your goal. But I can tell you that advice from an experienced person who's been there and done that will make your path easier. Human beings require knowledge to be imparted. Whereas, say, a bird may be born knowing how to fly south for the winter. They don't need to be taught that. That's just what they do instinctively. But everything that the human being does, we must be taught. So always be a seeker of good knowledge. There are many who would purport to have knowledge while even lacking experience. They would purport to be wise while stealing their knowledge from the mouths of others. So look for those who are true knowers and follow the good advice that they give you.
Okay, we have Camden Mosley sent a super chat. He said,
Camden,
3
yeah.
consecutive days. Everybody need to take notes because YouTube trying to cancel Big Homie.
On everything. And I will say that the live session we did yesterday, that one we've made exclusive on patreon.com/the saint and the sinner. And the one the day before that, that one YouTube just took it down. So if you really want to stick with this movement and get this pure ism, follow the backup channel, which is linked on this channel's homepage.
Okay, we have a Sour of Seeds sent a super chat. He came in strong. He said, all just honor and credit are due to you, brother. I'm amused and inspired by your work. I'm looking into getting your book as well as I keep hearing about this. And shout out to Bridget to her for her hardcore assistance.
Well, appreciate it. And yes, Bridget has, been strong for so long, and it's a beautiful thing to meet a good person. And when you have good people in your life, you have to be good to good people. All men will find that people will come and go in your life. What you have to be assured of is that you're moving this way. When you're moving this way, you always have a fresh new crop of people who want to be associated with you. When you're moving this way, you will eventually find yourself broken and alone. So make sure that you're always going up. And I appreciate the saint acknowledging the work and the quality of it. And I do feel as though we got a unique mix here of entertainment and education, and we really put a focus on that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that it sticks to your ribs. You can take this and be nourished by it and put it into play in real life, and you'll see good outcomes. And even beyond that, we have so many opportunities for folks to get on the ground and get a one-on-one consultation or to come to events and things like that. So we're really doing our work. And so do stick with this movement and make sure that you like the video if you haven't already, and make sure that you share it as well. And saints, the important thing is sometimes you look at something, you say, wow, that's really cool. And that's great, but that's not great for me. And you always want to be self-focused at a level to which you're not accepting everything. You're not doing what everyone's doing. You're doing what is meant for you. And not all things are meant for you. So you must be discriminating in who you associate with. You must be discriminating in who you follow. And you must also look at these people as peers. So I'll leave you with that.
Okay, we have Eobard Thon sent a super chat. He said, off topic, but how would you go about getting things off your credit report, Saint? I have one thing I want to remove, but don't have an idea on how to take it off.
Gotcha. Number one, I think the simple way is paying the debt. Would you agree, Bridget? Is paying the debt?
Yeah, that's the simple way.
That's the straightforward way, is paying the debt. If you don't pay the debt to the original owner of the debt, what generally happens if it's been a long time, say I'm a furniture company and you purchased a couch from me, you didn't pay me back for the couch, so I kept asking you to pay for the couch. I'm the furniture company. You failed to do so within 5 months, I will sell your debt to another entity. And this entity then, they bought your debt for cheap, pennies on the dollar. So now, whereas you would have owed me $1,300 for the couch, they'll tell you, hey man, just give us $800, we'll settle the debt. So sometimes, depending on your cash liquidity, that might be a better option to wait till your debt is sold off and then pay it off once it's at a lower rate or a lower total cost. Then the second thing is, after a certain number of years, things will fall off of your credit report. You know, after 5 years, certain things will fall off. After a certain amount of time, even what happens, what do you call it when you don't pay for your house?
Foreclosure.
Even a foreclosure will fall off of your credit at a certain amount of time, or it won't be considered. So those are things to consider. There are also specific companies that clean your credit for you, or they can help you figure out how to get things removed. There are companies that specifically do that. In fact, there was a young man there was a saint who got a consultation who kind of runs
Oh,
one of
yeah,
those businesses.
Michigan.
Yes, I want to say his name was maybe Shamar or something with a SH.
I don't know.
I'll check on it. Feel free to shoot us a contact us form. If we can link you up with that gentleman, I'd be happy to do so.
Well, and real quick, if you think it's debt that isn't yours, you can contact the 3 of the credit bureaus and they can remove it for you.
That's right. And then sometimes you'll also have to sue the company if it's debt that's not yours. For example, the reason we don't do Venmo is because someone on one of these live streams scammed on Venmo, and to the tune of like $4,000. And we called Venmo and said, hey, this is a fake thing. This person took $4,000 from me, and they couldn't fix the situation. So you just got to sue the company to get your money back.
Okay, we have Elijah Dean sent a super chat. He said, shout out from Mexico, peace to the saints.
Hey, peace to the saint. We love Mexico. Yeah, dig.
We have Jerry back again. He said tuition.
In the building. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have Stan219 sent a super chat. He said, I'm almost 28, thinking about changing professions. I make 50 to 80K as an independent contractor. The work can be inconsistent. I'm thinking about pursuing a new career and moving back home. No kids, no debt.
Mm-hmm. Carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on. Doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with that. If you have good relations with your parents and you also have money saved up, then it sounds like you're pursuing something that's more stable. I think that's a smart thing. So yeah, I say carry on.
Okay. Jay Ryan sent a super chat. He said, as a boxer, I can tell you have good reflexes because your speech is not impaired at all. Been following since August. Keep speaking facts, big bro.
I appreciate that. And you know, boxing is it leaves the cup empty, shall we say. The cup of all that you are, everyone has life within them. And when you die, that cup should be empty. Fighters certainly empty out that cup a little more quickly. And yes, I am fortunate. And I think sometimes because boxing starts at like age 6 and 7 in many cases, especially for great fighters, they may have taken too many knocks while they were, their brain was still developing. So yes, I'm very fortunate.
Okay, we have Kyle, the creator, sent a super chat. He said, hey, Saint, been trying to help my friend who's trying to build a relationship with a girl out of state. She stopped talking to him and came back after a week.
If it's your friend, I'd get out of their business. Um, if it's you, then I would be suspicious of her because in the modern era, women don't really take a week off of communication. That's not their nature. In fact, just last night, actually, this is very appropriate. Just last night, I posted an exclusive video and it's entitled High Interest in Person, Low Interest via Text Message. So that's when a woman is like all friendly and bubbly in person, but on text, she's taking a week to reply or 2 days to reply. So it talks about that phenomena. So I recommend you check it out because it certainly applies to your situation. You can find that at www.thesasn.com. And what I want to advise you guys is if you are looking for the older videos, like the series on the Prince, which is several parts, go to www.thesasn.com because you can use a search feature. They'll pop right up.
Okay, we have Pro Touch sending another super chat. He said, run up those likes, Saints.
Absolutely.
We
And
have, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, those are the easy things to do. And our way is if there's something easy to do that will benefit others and it takes very little from you, you should always rush to do that good thing.
Okay, we have Forever Young sent a super chat. He said, please, I need info to get repo off my record.
Oh, repossession.
Yeah.
I see. You also have to think about why. So, for example, if the reason you need to get the repo off your record is because you're trying to purchase a new car or purchase a used car, there are particular dealerships and opportunities that you can find that will either not care about that or there are situations where people can address those specific things. So send through that contact us form and I'll connect you with the saint who's in this kind of work. He may be able to advise you or support your effort. And do let us know what the outcome is.
Okay, we have Saeed Gatson sent a super chat. He said, during reinvention, should your standards and principles come from internal or external sources?
Well, you need to be thoughtful about if you know that you have historically set low standards for yourself. If I were you, I would seek radical change. For example, I was just saying that we have an opportunity wherein folks can come to Vegas one at a time because this is intensive, but they can come to Vegas, stay in my studio, and live by my standards for a week. Oh, and that's going to shake things up, I promise you. And so essentially, we'll do an intake. You tell me what your goals are. Hey, I want to lose 15 pounds, or hey, I want to get an exercise routine going, or hey, I want to get the courage to talk to women. And we're going to push you hard on those things for a whole week of living this radically different lifestyle. My guess is that you're in need of reinvention. Your standards have been too low or they've been the wrong standards. And so I'd highly recommend that you get some paid expert advice so that you can get a new outcome. Don't ever be scared to invest into yourself because when you fail to invest in yourself, the repercussions are obvious. They manifest in low achievement. They manifest in relationships you don't want to have. They manifest in an empty wallet. They manifest in all of these bad things. So if you have to shell out $1 so that you can be associated with someone who's an achiever, do that. Because sometimes when you've not been performing and you look around, your friends and family are not performers either. So you got to do what you got to do to get in the area, in the space, to get associated with people who perform well.
Okay, we have Christian Smith send a super chat. He said, what ab workouts do you suggest that are more effective? Also, you said Cosmo was one of your favorite on the strip. I have women meeting me out there just to relax and unwind.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, no, Cosmo's lovely. Has the best decoration in all of the rooms. The interior design is superior. If you get the right room, the view is of the Bellagio fountain. It's quite nice. I highly recommend it. And perhaps I'll see you there one day. And then he says ab workouts. So there's a couple that I recommend. There's a product called the Ab Solo, and it's actually a product that allows you to do medicine ball ab exercises by yourself. And so it holds your feet, and then you have a number of 8-pound medicine balls, and then you recline. You throw the ball at a target, and it rolls back down to you. And you do 3 sets for about 3 minutes, and it's very rigorous. Also, when I'm doing pull-ups and chin-ups, I keep my legs jutting straight out. So I'm holding them tight, working the upper abs during this process. But I can tell you this, if you stop eating so fucking much, stop eating so much fucking food, those abs are gonna pop out all on their own. Because here's the thing, when you're working your full body, jump rope, push-ups, sit-ups, running, and eating a proper diet, those abs, they're gonna pop straight out. I promise you. I promise you. It's your core. I promise you.
Okay, we have Matthew Strudwick in a super chat. He said, tuition, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saint.
We
Thank you, Matthew. And shout out to Wyndon, who just joined as a member on patreon.com.
He sent a couple super chats today as well.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, he coming in strong.
Coming in strong. Okay, we have AC Breezy sent a super chat. He said, hey Saint, I'm currently 20 and looking to pursue the bodybuilding stage and boxing at the same time. Do you think it's possible to thrive in both disciplines at the same time realistically?
People have done things far more extraordinary in life. I mean, anything is possible. But what I would caution you is that with bodybuilding, it has many weight classes similar to boxing. So if you're going to be a physique model, like a fit model, one of the ones who are more have this trim, slender look, then that can work. It depends on what your weight is. If you're a heavyweight boxer, you know, you're like 230, 240 pounds, the physique that you have, if you have too much muscle, you won't be a good boxer. So being a heavyweight boxer and a bodybuilder that has to build for size, that won't work. But if you're one of those, bodybuilders that are in the lower weight classes and it's more about musculature and sculpting and being shredded, you can for sure be shredded and be a good boxer. You'll still be quick. You'll still have good cardio. So I think it can be done.
All I can think of was that guy at the first fight.
Yeah, in fact, it was my very first sanctioned boxing match. There was a guy who actually was a bodybuilder, and bruh, this dude, I would say, like a minute and a half in, he was exhausted.
Gassed.
He was gassed out. People don't realize boxing is an intense endurance sport. Endurance of the body, of the mind, of the spirit, of the heart. And if you have too much muscle, it's too heavy. So that's my only caution to you.
Okay, your mother sent a super chat. He said, advice for guys dealing with their toxic mother and fixing their issues, bad habits that were instilled by their mother. Peace to the saints.
I would say move out to start with. Number one is stop blaming other people. Yes, you expect good things from your parents. You sure do. But sometimes your parents ain't shit. And that's okay. That's them. That's not you. That's why I wrote this book, because so much of what you guys ask me is already here. But the good thing is that it's here in detail with the full story. So your mother was toxic. My mother was on crack cocaine. You think that's not toxic? Read the book and figure out what the real chess moves are to that situation. What you won't find in this book, I don't call my mother toxic. I don't call my mother narcissistic. I don't call my mother anything negative, because I accept who she has been and who she is. The reflection that I do is not on her, but rather on me. And when you stay self-focused and you take responsibility for what's within your locus of control, you'll realize, oh, people can be what they want to be. They can be toxic, narcissistic, all that good stuff. Fantastic for them. But who am I going to be? And what am I going to do? What's in my black box? What reserve of strength do I have? And that's really what you want to dive into. So let this be a guide for you, especially if you feel like you're dealing with toxic parents. Because again, when I was born, my father was in prison doing 10 years for cocaine distribution. And my mother was a drug addict. So it rarely gets more toxic than that. And if it gets more toxic than that for you, I look forward to reading your book, because you'll have a great story of success to tell.
One just came through. We have Rolex Muller Malbranque. He sent a super chat. He said, how do you leverage money to start a business? I'm looking into real estate overseas. Peace.
So if your business is going to be real estate is a fairly straightforward business. Certainly if you're just getting into it, you want to buy a very small property that's reasonably proximate, meaning close, not overseas. You want to buy it in a locality that does not have extreme weather, snow, lots of rain, hurricanes, things like this. And you want to buy in the wealthiest zip code. You want to buy the cheapest house in the wealthiest zip code. And that's how you get your feet wet, so to speak, in real estate. Buying property overseas is cool, but you for sure want to be a lot more cash liquid because there will be sometimes bribes you'll have to pay, sometimes people you'll have to pay to keep an eye on your property or to manage it. There's just a lot of unforeseen things that are going to go on when you're buying property abroad. That's something, if I were you, I would surely invest in getting a local, highly respected, trusted expert to advise me on because there's a lot of complexity there. So really consider that.
Okay, we're caught up. We do have IG Mike ask how much is the black box. So if you want to share where they can get it and the
Yeah.
price.
If you want a low cost copy, we made it accessible to everyone. You can go to www.thesasn.com and slash the black box. You can get an ebook for about $10. And if you want a paperback, you can type in Marquette Burton, or excuse me, you can type in The Black Box by Marquette Burton. And I don't even know what it costs there. I think it's like
16.99
yeah,
maybe.
something like that. And you can get a paperback edition.
Okay, we have Drip LLC sent a super chat. He said, "What is your book about exactly? What would I learn or gain from reading your book?"
Gotcha. Well, this book is both an autobiographical work from age 0 to about 25. So it's about me and it's about you. What the book does is it lays out a number of experiences. At the end of each experience, it gives a black box, which is an accounting of how a mature person would look at that situation and learn from it. It explains if I did the right things in the situation, explain why I did what I did and the fruits of it. If I did the wrong thing, it would say, "No, I did the wrong thing. Don't do this. This will lead you to this bad outcome." And throughout the entire book, it's driving you to reflect. It's been said of this book that chapters have made people cry, chapters have made people inspired, chapters have made people reflect and ask why they're not farther ahead. You know, the book goes from triumph to challenge and back to triumph and ends with inspiration. It is a book that has about 118 reviews, and most all of them are 5 stars. There's literally two 1 star reviews. There's two of them. Both of them are by people who have not read the book, because every time you write a review, it'll say verified purchaser. The two 1 star reviews, they're not verified purchasers. They're literally people who hate my YouTube channel. They've went on to try to thumbs down the book. So I recommend you go on there, find the 1 star review and report it, because these people are liars. And it's okay with having a 1 star opinion, but at least read the book. They've not even read the book. They're not verified purchasers. If I say that to say, I give you my guarantee that if you read this book, you will receive far more than your money's worth. It would be the best $10 you ever spent. And I stand by this because it took me 10 years to write this book.
Okay, we have a super chat from SX Moneymakers. But first, while we're on the book, Vividuction said, "Does your book travel to South Africa?"
You might be able to find it on Amazon, because Amazon South Africa, well, if they have Amazon in South Africa, I can't confirm or deny that. When I was there, I didn't check Amazon. But usually what will happen is the local Amazon will print the book themselves and then mail it. So if you're in Germany, if you're in London, it'll be printed locally and mailed to you. So just in your local South African Amazon website, just type in The Black Box by Marquette Burton.
Okay, so SXX Moneymakers XS, he sent a super chat. He said,
Welcome
"I
back.
think," what?
I said,
Oh,
welcome back.
he said, "I think a lot of people need to realize that their parents are going through their own demons. We have to forgive them and grow. If you don't, you'll become just like that."
He brings up such a meaningful point in that for some strange reason you think your parents are extraordinary because they're your parents. They're just average people, just like everyone else. Some may be blessed to have parents in the order of an Elon Musk or something like that, but most of us just have regular people as parents. And he's correct. Many of them may be misguided. They may lack spirituality. They may have many faults, many demons. And the best you can do is to be nothing like them, but accept who they are. Part of this ism is being able to accept the truth. Don't get mad at the truth. Appreciate it and be nourished by it. Just deal with it.
Okay, we have Lucas Longhurst. He's back again with another super chat. He said, will you be making any more episodes on the Sasson podcast? YouTube is good, but it's nice to have a podcast for the car or working out.
Ah, I see. You know what? I'm not sure about that.
We do have people that say that they just turn the video on and listen to it while they're working out, not
Yeah.
necessarily watch it.
Right.
Okay, we're got up.
Okay. I truly appreciate all the support, saints, and let us end this the way we always end this. And when we do the Creed of the Assassin, you must stand for it. Say this with full conviction, knowing that this is true of you wherever you are. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable. And I am going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Hey Saints, I'm going to go out and enjoy this beach today, you dig? Beach is empty today because people are at work, but I'm not, so I'm going to go enjoy this, you dig? Oh, until next time.